Evening everybody, my name is Carmalian and today I will be showing you how to plan out pathing for a city like this one. So the main path will probably be heading up towards, from the very entrance of the kingdom, up towards the castle and the keep. So what we will be doing here is taking our light blue wool, or any color wool that is not green, because you've got to see the thing. I like my paths to be about 3 blocks wide, so what I generally do is I find the middle of wherever I'm working, and I want to connect these entrances. So we're gonna go 3, and then to make this diagonal, you take the middle one, boom, go 3 over, and then 1 around. So this is gonna be the main thing of the path that we're going to be building. This is going to be how we're going to be building it. And down, if we're going down a block, I generally tend to like to keep them straight forward, and go 1 block away so this wraparound doesn't hit the block that we just descended to. And I generally tend to, oh boy, I generally tend to, I guess, enjoy making pathing not super straight. So we're gonna have to end up here again, meaning we're gonna have to like wrap around. Like this. Maybe just do that so it's a little bit more even. So this is what the path will look like. We will sink this into the ground when we have the path mapped out fully. This was a nice short path. I generally don't tend to do the full 3 block overlay in longer paths. This is generally what I tend to do with longer paths, is I just kind of jump and apparently miss every single block. Yeah, like that. In the general direction of the place I want this path to end up. So I'll be making a little bit of a dotted line heading towards the place that I want to have a nice path leading towards, and that'll give me a pretty good idea of where to put the path, just so we have like guidelines. So here is generally a spot where I want to... Do I have dirt? I have 2 blocks of dirt. Yeah, that should work. Now we want a path leading directly upwards. Boom, that's the end of it. And then going straight down. Didn't work. Alright. And then this is where I can start carving towards the rest of the path. What I'll do next is generally see in the terrain where a beautiful little 3 block gap is, and while I have these lovely little path blocks, I'll just grab my shovel and follow these. That's why we've got these light blue wool blocks, so that we can follow them, dig out a path with the previous method mentioned, where I placed a whole bunch of wool. Hello. Ah, no, not what I wanted. Okay. It's nice having a good shovel for this. So I generally tend to just dig out the grass, because I want my path to be on level ground with the rest of the ground. And I'll tend to follow this beautiful little path we've got going on here. This line, dotted line. And to move it in that direction, what I've done here is this little L shape on top of this 3. So you go 1 to the right if you're going off to the right, and then you kind of wrap it around this 3 by 1 little place. And what I generally like to do is keep the marker block in the center of the 3 by however many hole you're building. Now what we have here is a 90-degree bend, but what I'm going to do is we've gone down here. Let's say that this is going to be the next level, so we're going to do that, and then simply skip at least one because we're going to have a half slab here and we want it to be flush with the rest of the ground. So we're going to take, pretty much do it like this, 2 until there, and then we have like a 2x2 over here. So what's gonna happen over this side is we're going to take out this in like a square, but leave the corner fine. Leave it there. From here we can just generally go straight. We're basically just carving out a lovely little area. Okay, so once we've got all of this going, you can go back to where you dug out your little trench. It should look at least a little bit something like this. If it doesn't, that's okay. This is just my little formula on how to build paths, and every single path I build goes by this little formula. But the texture and what you fit it with, that is all up to you. You get to choose essentially how your path looks. I just like to have mine be 3 blocks wide and use that kind of formula. To make yours, to make your path 4 blocks wide, you would simply need to add another hole, and with this L-shaped technique, you would just simply need to increase this one, and of course the width of your actual path. So it would look a little bit something like this. Yeah, if you're moving it more towards that side. This is what it would look like if it was 4 blocks, but we're gonna stick with 3. Okay, so how to texture this path. My favorite method is a little bit strange. I absolutely love using these 5 blocks in combination. So I love using gravel, cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, stone, and obviously andesite. It is a lot of fun and looks really cool by the end of it. My favorite method? To just drop 1 block throughout the entire path. And on these levels I tend to like to put at least one of the block that I'm currently doing. Obviously on the 9 ones, or even really on the 6, it'll be more than just one of the texture blocks there, but it's just fun to use whichever block you like and kind of jump around and have fun with it. That's pretty much it. Another method you could do is fill this entire thing with stone and then replace out whichever block, but I do it in the same kind of wild manner. Just like this. So I'm not quite sure exactly how much I'll need of all of this, but as long as it is fun for me to do, which it no doubtly always is, I just kind of shove them wherever I feel like it. I like to have more stone than any of the other blocks, generally because that's the most neutral and the most textureless block. You don't want every single texture imaginable in one build. So this is where the less is more comes in, I feel like, because it just It's nicer that way. For me, at least. So I'll just go around peppering all of this in. Occasionally. Just everywhere. Doesn't need to be touching the andesite. Just very random. And it'll slowly fill up the more you go. Oops. I'll do this with every single block that I have. And the blocks that I have left... oh, hello. The blocks that have been left out by the end of filling all of these in, I just fill with stone. See you when there is nothing else to fill. Because that is generally how I tend to build paths. I take 4 to 5 different textured blocks and I just fill them in wherever they go. Like this. There we go. I also don't really like having the blocks touch each other. Like if a mossy cobble was here, that doesn't bode well for me a lot of the time. Mossy cobble and cobblestone don't always belong together either because they have a very similar texture in that sense. So I like keeping them apart, but it is also an interesting combination. So essentially, do what you like. It is getting more and more impossible to traverse this while it's being filled up, but I think it's fun. If I have some left over, I'll find spots that look a little bit empty and put them there. Okay, and then lastly, the gravel. At this stage, I like to have gravel making a little bit of a checkerboard pattern, because I don't like having blocks that are of the same thing touch each other. Oh, like that. That does very generally mean that you're going to need 2 stacks of one of your texture blocks for at least this length of path. But that ultimately depends on how many blocks you are using to texture. If I have this many, I will kind of care about how many blocks touch what. But otherwise, it really doesn't matter that much. Especially if it's stone, you know? I think we did pretty good. by the end of it, we'll have a path that looks like this. However, there's still something that's missing just a little bit. It'll be slabs. You want to get up these blocks without needing to jump if you've got auto jump off, which I sure hope you do. My favorite slab to use, or my favorite slabs to use, are stone slabs, cobblestone slabs, and mossy cobblestone slabs. What I'll do here is I'll just put them in places where they don't match up with their counterparts, and sometimes again, it's just kind of random. It doesn't matter that much. I could have a full one of just stone. I could have just a little bit of cobblestone or mossy cobblestone. I could have a full one of cobblestone if I wanted to. The point is, it needs to at least fit in a little bit. And by doing this kind of texturing, it works fairly well with the rest of the path. And there we go. That's how you build a path in Minecraft, or at least that's how I've generally liked to build paths in Minecraft. How to plan paths, we'll go back to the very beginning of the tutorial, and I'm gonna get a bunch of wool, and I will be filling out a lot of wool around the place to mark out where I want my paths to be. See you soon. Okay, so I like splitting them up into zones where the path curves, then I can have an offshoot going around. This is what the planning looks like, and you can kind of just put paths, kind of looks like, and you can just put, I guess, you can put paths wherever the heck you want to. I generally like to follow the terrain, like here, I didn't want to go down one, and here I just kind of went in a straight line. There's a place that I want to put a staircase at some point, which is steeper terrain, which is this. I feel like a staircase would go pretty well here. Or I could put it over here, but either way, we have little markers going on. And I think that that's the best course of action, and probably the best place to stop, since you know how to make a path from these little markers, as I've just shown you, and how to texture them. I hope you guys have a lovely, a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and I shall see you guys next episode, where I teach you guys how to plan out the buildings that you want to put in these kinds of lovely little empty spots. By then the paths will be done, and that's pretty much, these are the main paths at least. But then these paths will be done, and you guys will get to see how it looks like at that point. Love you guys. Bye!